Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. It's Tuesday. I thought we'd have a conversation. I saw something that it pissed me off more than anything, um, and I want to talk about it for a minute. This video won't be a long video by any means, but I, it's something I really got to talk about. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you found me. I hope you get something out of my channel, and if you're returning to my channel, thank you. And no, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down if you like, notification bell next to the subscribe button, all that stuff. But anyhow, the other day, me and Sarah coming back from work, and on her boyfriend had sent her a picture that his sister had taken of a group, I don't know, about a dozen or so gentlemen standing on the corner by a church on the other side of town from me, and here in Newark, Ohio. And that really disturbed me. It was a white supremacy group that they're called White Lives Matter, and um, they're holding up signs that are just treacherous. Absolutely treacherous. Um, in the video or in the picture, she sent it to me, and if I can, I'll insert it in here. The one she sent me, you can't read the signs real well, but you could on her phone, and it was White Lives Matter to uh, Black Lives Murdered, have white babies, you know, um, and that's horrible. I mean, I never, I mean, it's not, I'm not ignorant to the racism that's in our society by any means. We talk about it here on this channel, along with social equality, but it, I can honestly say for all the protests that I've seen in my lifetime, I mean, and have seen, mostly for the common good, I never thought that would come to my town. Now, I'm not a fool to not know that um, my town being a smaller town and a conservative state isn't filled with some extremes, I mean, even in the neighborhood I live in now, I'm surrounded by diehard right wing Republicans. But I never thought that anybody would have the nerve in this town to show their asses like that. I mean, they were protesting in front of a church, and a church had to put on the post of the picture, that they weren't affiliated, related, or did not condone any of the actions happening outside the church on their property. Now, granted, these guys stayed on the sidewalk, but then, never mind the fact what they're doing was just morally wrong by promoting racism, you know. But if you're, I guess it goes to, my mom always told me growing up, if you had nothing nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all. And that's nothing, that's something that's not nice to say. I mean, shame on you for thinking it in your head in the first place, but to stand out on a street corner with signs promoting racism, shame on you. Shame on all of you that were out there. Shame on anybody who does that anywhere in the world. We have too many other problems to think of and worry about. Those people should have been home taking care of their families, or loved ones at any rate, doing something. Working at a homeless shelter. They could have spent the 2 hours they were out there helping the homeless, helping the afflicted, the addicts. I mean, I've learned in the years that I've lived in this town, because I didn't grow up here, now Chris did, but I've learned in the years that I've lived in this town off and on, that especially here lately, this town seems to be filled with nothing but homeless and racism. You know, I mean, it's almost like a smaller picture of the U.S. and all the negatives that go with it. You know, our rich keep getting richer. Our poor stay poor. Hey, our town seems to, promote, in a way, not promote, but allow, our poor to be addicted with very little help. And we don't really offer much help. There's a handful of programs that do help on some things, but not many, and you have to reach out to them first. I can tell you, being around addicts throughout my life, not a one of them were going to reach out for help. That's just not something that you usually thinks of. These people have to be approached, talked to, shown they care, that somebody cares and loves them. You know, and we don't do that in this town. I will say, like in the bigger cities, I mean, even like in our case in Ohio with Columbus, there are a bazillion programs for that, and racism just isn't tolerated. Not like that. I mean, you don't really. I don't know. I'm agitated and I'm at a loss for words for the most part, I need to tell everybody that that's a horrible thing. I mean, we already know that protest, racism is a horrible thing. That is kind of a given, but yeah, yes, I mean, sure, white lives matter, whatever, that, but that's not what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. I mean, sure, I mean, there is some about the color of the skin, but it's about the social aspect of it. The social injustice that goes on, you know, and that happens a fair amount more with black, brown, and yellow than it ever will, white. And that's just a fact of life, that we need to change. That's what the heart of that movement is social equality. Knowing that if they get pulled over for something, they're not going to get shot, they're not going to get killed, they're going to get treated with respect. Knowing that they're not going to people aren't going to look at them funny based on the color of their skin when they walk into the grocery store. Not because they want equal. Everybody should have equal rights. I say they like they're a foreign entity, and that's not cool. Not cool at all. But anyhow, hold on one second for me, okay? Sorry about that. Abby got it up and needed some assistance. It's early. It's only 7 o'clock in the morning. It just, I don't know. Another thing that's bugging me a little is the voting rights bill that they need to pass. And they need to pass it. There are people out there that would lead you to believe that voter fraud is running rampant throughout our country. It's not. And that's just the straight truth. It's not running rampant through our country. Matter of fact, there were only a handful of cases of people who tried to commit voter fraud. They got caught, all of them. And they were done by extreme right-wing Republicans. And these new voting laws that these states are putting out, there's 9 of them with, if I read right, 20 more that have bills in their houses that are heading in the same direction for things that aren't necessary, and a lot of it is the right wing Republicans, or just we'll say Republicans in general, because even the ones that aren't extreme right, in their beliefs, aren't opening their mouths, even if they don't believe what is being written. Um, they're not opening their mouths, so these things are passing. And we're trying to make it so, I say we, because I am a Democrat, but we're trying to make it so everybody can vote, where the laws that are being passed, even though in theory, they don't really hurt anything, they just make it to where you either have to mail in your ballot by post office, drop it off at a voting, a place where you vote, or you have to vote in person. Which, okay, I mean, in theory, that sounds perfect, but it's not perfect, because like with the mail-in ballots, you have to write down some ID. Well, where you run into that problem is there are people out there that don't have IDs, of any kind, or they may not have a way to get to the voting registration places to vote, or to turn in their ballot. They may not have a way. Not everybody drives, and that can pose a problem. So, I mean, I get it. All the new Voting Rights Act is trying to do is make it easier to vote. Um, and yet there are people putting falsehoods out there that are telling people that we're trying to make it easier for people to, put in fake ballots and to rig elections. And that's not true. That's not true. That's like, I heard the ex-vice president talking about how, and this is just an outright lie, but once again, this is it's just another way to show that racism is such an issue in our nation. He was given a speech, because I think he's getting ready to try to run for president again in 2024. But his speech, part of it involved telling people that there is being preferential treatment towards ethnicities, people of different color, or backgrounds, for COVID vaccines and treatment, which is the exact opposite of the way it's been working. I heard a gentleman speaking the other day that said that out of all the vaccinations that have been given so far, 82% of the vaccines given and the boosters have been given to white people. That there are actually very few people of minority that have been able to get the vaccine. I mean, never mind the fact that you can't hardly find a test. Vaccines are in high demand. So he's wrong. He's lying. For those of you that have heard that speech, he is lying. He is completely wrong. He is feeding you full of shenanigans to try to get a future vote. There has been such a rash of politicians, period, to some extent, on both sides of the fence, that are putting fear into you. And some of it needs to be done, like global warming. Global warming absolutely needs to be addressed. We are destroying our planet, not killing it. The planet's always going to be here, but we may not if we keep going the way we're going. Don't believe me? Look at the weather. The weather in and of itself should tell you there's something going on. You've got people lying about just all kinds of stuff. Voting, pandemic, vaccines. Still, to this day, there are politicians out there that are telling you, even though they've had the vaccine and they didn't turn into aliens or get microchipped, they've had the vaccine. They're telling you that you shouldn't take the vaccine, and that it's okay. Almost 1 million people have died in 2 years just from not getting the vaccine. Okay. And some of them, we didn't have a vaccine, but we had one. It's been here for over a year now. I've gotten both of my vaccination shots. I even got the booster shot, and I'm okay. I guarantee you will be too. Abby, my 8-year-old, has had her vaccination. It is no different than getting your flu shot or any of the vaccinations you get as a kid. They are a necessity, and I don't understand why people feel the need to fight this. It will save your life. Almost every person I've seen on the news who was in the hospital for COVID, who did not get the vaccine to begin with, or the first words out of their mouth on the news is, I really wish I'd have gotten that vaccine. Duh. I mean, come on. There are a few things. I mean, I know our country has several pokers in the fire, and I know we have somehow managed to let politicians and the news media in general take us to extremes. There's nothing that's just so-and-so did this. It's so-and-so did this amazing, horrendous, or horrific. They use adjectives to describe a situation that makes it so extreme that we buy into it. And because there are nut jobs out on social media, you have people out there taking medications that are for farm animals to try to stop COVID. I heard a guy talk the other day about how drinking your own pee will help you to not get COVID. Stop it. Just stop it. Heard a lady talking about how President Biden isn't really alive, and that this guy, the guy that's playing President Biden, is a body double hired by our former president, who he is controlling. Stop it. Just stop all of that. These are the reasons why our country is having problems. Now you can say I've rambled on and gone on a tangent about several things, and I have, but here's what it all comes down to, is back to what my mom said. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Let's try the golden rule instead of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think the world would be a much better place, because that doesn't take anything. That's just nothing more than giving. All right. So that being said, tomorrow, let's move on. I'm not going to keep you all day. Like I said, this wouldn't be a long video. It's 18. We're going on 19 minutes. But tomorrow, for dinner, we're going to do a Portobello mushroom and mozzarella casserole. It's pretty much a vegetarian dish. Even it's got mozzarella in it, but it has no meats at all. And that's what we're gonna do. Thursday, for dessert, I haven't quite decided what I want to do for dessert yet. I'm torn between two things. Whichever one I don't make this week, I'm gonna make next week. So we're either going to do a banana cream pie this week with a Nella wafer crust, or we're going to do a cinnamon toast crunch cheesecake that my friend Kevin showed me a picture of, and I was like, Brian, this looks amazing. And it did look amazing. So I found a recipe for one, and we're going to give it a shot. So that'll either be this week or next week. But I think we're going to do banana cream pie this week. And then we'll tackle the cinnamon toast cheesecake next week. Let me know which one you think. Either way it goes. All right. So that being said, thank you for listening. And I just really wanted to talk about all of that for a second, but mostly the shenanigans going on in my town. You know, it doesn't need to be. I mean, it doesn't need to be at all. That's horrible, and shame on you people for standing out in the corner with those signs. You know, it. Nobody needs that. Nobody has time for that. And you have better things to do with your life than stand on a street corner, uh, holding signs with racial bigotry on it. That's what it is racial bigotry. All right. So anyhow, I'm done. I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that. With every ounce of heart I have. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. And if you're able, give them a hug. All right. I'll see you tomorrow for dinner. And until then, stay safe, get vaccinated, tell your neighbor hello. All right. Love you.